Hey everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living Luke 12:6. I'm Wendy, and today we're doing some more Dollar Tree DIYs for your Christmas home decor. For this project, I'm using two clear vases. One is 8 3/4 inch, the other one is 6 inches, and then two of these plastic or acrylic dessert bowls. They come in a pack of 4. And then I'll be using 3 of these green Christmas trees and 1 large one, 2 wooden medallions, and then I have these 2 wooden knobs. These I just had in my stash, but Dollar Tree carries some really cute knobs too. So the first thing I'm going to do is sand down my plastics because I'm going to be painting that with my Waverly chalk paint in white. I'm also going to take off all the tags and sand down my wooden medallions so that I can paint over that and there's no ickies left over. So I'm going to paint both sides of my wooden medallions, but I'm not covering up those holes or filling them in with spackle like I normally would. I'm going to use these as lids, but I'm going to use the little holes for a tag for more cuteness. Now these dessert bowls have engravings on the outside. You can leave those showing so that they kind of show up a little bit more, or you can even add some distressing afterwards, which would be really pretty. But I'm going to go ahead and paint mine completely solid, so I'm going to take my paintbrush and kind of dab inside those little areas so that the paint covers completely. So now I'm going to clean my vases with some Windex, and then I'll dry that off to get all the lint and any dust that was left over. These have been sitting for a little while. And then I'm taking my wooden knobs using some permanent adhesive and then some hot glue for that immediate hold, and then I'm going to glue those right on top of my lids. And don't forget, you can always find us on Instagram at White Sparrow Living, and you can join our Facebook group called the Dollar Tree Sparrow's Nest, where you can share all of the creations you've seen and find some more inspiration. So now I'm going to take a pencil and trace around the opening of my vase, and I should have done this before I put my knobs on, but hey, do as I say, not as I do. So I'm doing this so that I can add a little lip with my hot glue around the inside. So I'm going to go in about 1/4 inch or whatever this looks like, just to give it a little gap. And then when I put my lid on top of my vase, it's not going to jiggle around. So I'm going to be using these Walmart tags, but you could also use one of the little red trucks from the Dollar Tree, or one of the sleighs, or even one of these pretty little snowflakes, all from Dollar Tree. I kind of had a hard time deciding which one to use, but all I did was stuck the little ribbon in through that hole, and then I'm going to hot glue that down underneath. You just want to make sure that the little ribbon is pointed in the right direction so that your tag is facing out. So now to fill our vases, I'm just going to use one of the larger trees, and then for the other one, I'm going to use 3 of the smaller trees in that pack. And I cut off the back of one of the smallest tree in the front so that all 3 of them will fit. So I'm not going to glue them down or anything, but I am going to fill it with some glittery faux snow from the Dollar Tree and just get that all packed down into the bottom of my vase. So now I'm going to do some more hot glue and permanent glue to attach my vases to my dessert cups, and I'm going to put those upside down obviously, and those will become the bases. Then I'll pop my lids on, and these are all done. And here's how they turned out. I love these so much. They're so simple, but I think they're so pretty and elegant. Of course, you can put whatever color trees you want in there. You can paint the bases any color and the lids. I love how this turned out. You can see my old Saint Nick right next to it. And fun fact, that star is the very first star Michael J and I had for our very first Christmas and our very first home. For this project, I'm using 3 of these tags from the Dollar Tree. These are kind of like middle size. They're really cute like they are, but I'm going to take the tags off first, and I recommend getting a heat gun to do this. It makes it so much easier, and I've had a lot of viewers tell me to do that when I'm struggling with my tags. So as usual, to get the residual ickies off, I'm going to use my sandpaper, and then I'm using my celery green chalk paint by Waverly that you can pick up at, well, I don't even know if that Walmart still has it. I order mine online. But anyway, I had Michael J grab me a twig off of a branch of our tree out in the backyard. So I'm going to use that and paint it with some white. But I want a lot of the twigs still poking through so that you can tell what it is. And then I'm also going to use my white chalk paint to go along the edges of my green tags. So I'm going to flip this upside down so you can see me writing right side up, and I'm going to write on the first tag Christ, and on my eye I'm going to make that a little star, and then on the second one I'm going to write the Savior, and then on the third one I'm going to write is born. And I'm using my faux calligraphy and a white paint pen that I get from Walmart, and I wrote the main words first, and then I'll go back and add the over Savior and then is over born. So now I'm going to take some Dollar Tree greenery, and I'm just going to clip off a couple of these sprigs and then attach them in the middle. I'll use a zip tie to put them together, and then I'm going to set that aside while I put my ribbons through my tags. And so I'm just going to feed it through the holes, and then once I get all 3 of those pieces of ribbon cut, then I'll tie a knot at the top of the tag, and then I'll tie those to my branches. I want them pretty even, but it doesn't matter if there's a little bit of variation. And then using another zip tie, I'll attach my little swag to the middle of my branch. So now I'm going to make a perky bow, and I'm using the fold over method with some Dollar Tree burlap and lace ribbon, and I'm just going to fold that over 3 times on each side, give a big wrap around with one big loop. That's going to be our tails. And then I'll take my scissors and make little slits on each side right in the middle, so that when I use my chenille stem, it'll go into those little cracks, and then I can move my tails around as I please. And you can see the tails right now are upside down. So because of those little snips, I'll be able to twist those around and the lace will be on the top. And then I'll foof out my loops and attach it to the middle of my greenery. And then I'm just going to take those tails and feed it through the greenery there, and then dovetail the edges. And here it is all finished, and I absolutely love how this turned out. I think these tags are so pretty because they're not too big and they're not too small. They're just right and tells us the true reason for the season. I love it, and I hope you guys like it too. For this next project, I'm using this white fabric banner that I got at Walmart. It was about $7 or $8 or $8 or $9. I can't remember. It was for a wedding that my daughter and I decorated a while back. The letters on this are about 2 inches, but I want my letters to be a little bit larger, so I'm going to make them 3 inches tall. So I'm going to be using my Cricut Joy, and I'll make a stencil using the font Bambi Bold, and I'm using some vinyl stencil paper or stencil tape, whatever you want to call it, and this is from FRISCO Craft. I'll have them linked in the description box below. And then once I have my letters cut out, I'm going to weed out the middles of my letters and then put the transfer tape on top of that and then peel it off of the backing sheet and then put it onto my fabric. Then once I pull my transfer tape off, it'll just be the stencil that's left behind. So you want to make sure that you push down all of the edges of your letter and the insides just so that there's no paint seepage. And I'm going to be using my Waverly chalk paint in crimson, but because it's a little bit too dark and I want to get a little bit of a brighter red, I'm adding some bright red folk art acrylic paint to that. And then I have a sponge dauber that I'm just going to start pouncing up and down, and I want to go straight up and down so that, again, it helps with any seepage. So just don't brush it along. And as far as coverage, you can make it as dark or as see-through as you want. So like if you want it a little more rustic, you can leave some of those open spaces and not paint it completely, you know what I mean? And then once you have the paint where you want it, I never let it dry. I always pull it up before it dries, but you do have to be a little careful when you're doing this. And here it is all finished. I draped it with 2 other garlands from Hobby Lobby. I'll show you my mantle and how I styled my fireplace and then my shelf, and you'll see there's some Dollar Tree DIYs scattered throughout. The light up Santa used to belong to my grandma and grandpa, so he's been around ever since I can even remember, commemorating St. Nicholas, another super special and nostalgic piece. But I love my banner, and I thought the word behold was perfect and shows up in a bunch of scripture as we behold the newborn king. Here's a super easy Dollar Tree DIY. I'm using 3 white candles. 2 of them are new, but one of them I actually use in my bathroom. I didn't have a third new one. So I'm using some angel wing ornaments. You can get these in pink. There's some really pretty iridescent ones that have the fur on the back. I wanted 3 of these. I would have rather used these instead, but I only got 1. So instead, I am going to be using these white ones that have the pretty fur on the back also. And then I'm going to be using some gold cord. And so I just went online and found some pretty angel faces that would be super easy to draw because, well, I'm not going to say it, but these were the easiest faces I could find. And so I'm using a Sharpie first, and then I'll go over it with my black paint pen. And you can see I turned it upside down so that you can see me doing it and my little sketches I did ahead of time. So once I get my faces painted, I'm just going to use a white chenille stem and put it in place of where the holders usually go, and then just twist that around. And then on the back of my candles, I'm going to place a line of hot glue and place my chenille stem into that glue and hold it there until it stays snug as a bug in a rug. And then I'm going to take my gold cord and tie that in a knot around the back, and that'll be holding my chenille stem in place also. And then I'm going to wrap it around about 3 times. And with the excess cord that I left when I made that first knot, I'm going to tie a second knot and then cut off the edges. And then for some additional cuteness, I'm going to add a piece of Dollar Tree 5/8 inch ribbon. This is the white or ivory color with a little bit of gold in the middle. I'm going to tie that around her middle and then hide the knot in the back. And then they're done. And here's our sweet little angel choir singing the Gloria or Alleluia or something. I don't know. I just think they're so pretty, and it was such an easy project. These would be perfect for a shelf, but also for your Christmas tablescape down the middle or at a church celebration as a centerpiece. I love them, and I hope you like them too. For this project, I'm using 3 Dollar Tree beaded wreaths. So I used some needle nose pliers to open the end of the wire. And this is going to be for my Christmas tree trio. So I'm going to bend them to spell out the word joy. And then to get them to be the same size, I'm going to crunch my O to make it tall and skinny. And then that will determine the size of my J and my Y. And then once I figure out the size I want, I used my big fat cutters to cut it. And then I'll close it back up to keep the beads on. And if you don't have big fat cutters like mine, regular wire cutters will work, and you'll just bend the wire back and forth until it breaks. And then for the Y, I just made a V and then used one of the pieces that I cut off and attached it right into the middle. And also, just a reminder, you need to keep your hand over the area where you're cutting. Otherwise, your beads are going to go flying everywhere. But then you can keep those extra beads for another project. So then I had Michael J take these outside and spray paint them with a gloss cherry red paint by Krylon. I'll show that to you in just a second. But he got out there so fast I didn't even get a chance to film him doing it. So now I'm going to take 3 of Dollar Tree's Valentine's Day tags, and these are the larger ones. I'm just going to pull off those burlap bows and then use the back. I didn't even paint the fronts to cover up the pretties. And here's the spray paint that Michael J used. But you can see how pretty the red is on top of that bright white. And then once my tags are all painted, I'm going to take some of this striped ribbon that I'm using throughout all of my Christmas decor. So first I just fed some of that ribbon in through the hole and then fed the ends back up through that loop. And then I just made some sweet little bows by folding the ribbon over in thirds and then used a chenille stem in the middle. And then I'll feed that excess through that hole and attach it to the top of my tags. And then I'm going to take a medium-sized jingle bell and feed that through there. Add a little red truck from the Dollar Tree. It's a Christmas ornament. I'm sure you guys have seen these. And then I'm going to add some greenery for some more cuteness. So now to attach my letters to my tags, I'm just going to make little marks here and there, and then I'll go back in with my drill and make holes. And I'm using my Holywood so that I don't drill a hole in my work surface. And then I'm going to go back and put my letters on using some nylon zip ties. I'm going to feed it up through the back and then around the beads or the wire part of the beads, and then back through the back and then attach it, pull it super tight, and then cut off the excess. And here they are, all finished, and as you can see, I put one on each of my trees to spell out joy. I think this is so pretty, and here's a little sneak peek of my trees. Well, it's not really a sneak peek, it's the whole peek, but I don't even have my skirts on at the bottom or anything. But I love how these turned out, and I hope you guys like them too. I hope you enjoyed all of these projects, and if you did, don't forget to give them a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. If you're not already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below, as well as the little bell right next to it, so that you can be notified every time I upload a brand new video. Remember the reason for the season. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and remember to always be the light. Bye!